Every forecast you watch today will tell you what is going to happen this afternoon. This one is going to tell you what they are leaving out. There is a lot. So let us start with the parts you hear on every channel and then move into the parts you will not. The shared headline moderate risk level 4 out of 5 over Cedar Rapids, Davenport, Rockford, Peoria, and Chicago. 15% tornado probability with significant intensity hatched for EF3 strength. 60% damaging wind probability with hurricane force gusts possible across the same corridor. Tornado Watch 311 covers 13 counties in north-central Illinois until 3 p.m. Central, which means active sirens by lunch hour. Heat Watch covering Ohio Valley Heat Index climbing toward 100 this afternoon. Flood Watch across northern Illinois, Indiana, and the Wisconsin border through this evening. That is the standard package, accurate, important, and incomplete. Plain and simple here is what gets left out and why it matters more than the package above. Left out number 1, the jet streak speed. A jet streak is the fastest river of wind inside the larger jet stream pattern. Today's jet streak is moving across the country at 42 knots, which means the upper atmosphere is racing. The threshold for what forecasters call a robust tornado outbreak is 40 knots. Today is 2 knots above that line, which means anyone in the Cedar Rapids to Chicago corridor should treat this afternoon as outbreak level, not normal storm level. That detail does not appear in the public forecast headline. It is buried in the Storm Prediction Center mesoscale discussion. And it is the single most important reason the SPC went straight to moderate risk this morning. No joke. Left out number 2, the significant tornado parameter values. Significant tornado parameter measures how favorable the environment is for strong tornadoes on a 1 to 10 scale. Most strong tornado outbreaks happen in environments with STP between 3 and 6. Today's models are showing STP values reaching 32, which means we are off the standard scale entirely. 32? The scale was not designed to go that high. The numbers are breaking the charts. Which means for anyone in Rockford, Peoria, or the Chicago Metro, your afternoon supercell environment is unprecedented for June. That is not a forecast. That is the atmosphere telling forecasters something it rarely says. Now let us put those numbers on a map and a clock. Right now, severe storms ongoing across eastern Iowa near Cedar Rapids and Iowa City. Between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. line crosses the Mississippi River into Illinois. Between 1 and 3 p.m. Quad Cities, Rockford, Peoria tornado threat peaks for these communities. Between 3 and 5 p.m. Chicago Metro enters the corridor, 8 million people inside the 4 out of 5 risk. Between 5 and 7 p.m. Milwaukee, Madison, southern Wisconsin. Between 7 and 9 p.m. Lake Michigan crossing, weakening but still dangerous. Between 9 p.m. and midnight Grand Rapids, Lansing, Fort Wayne, South Bend. Overnight into Friday, line decays across Ohio Valley with heavy rain and lingering wind. Each window carries its own peak threat. Each city has its own clock. Left out number 3, the supercell potential ahead of the line. Most viewers will see the squall line approaching on radar this afternoon and assume that is the threat. It is half the threat. The other half is the discrete supercells firing ahead of the line between 1 p.m. and 4 p.m., which means in Davenport and Quincy, the most dangerous storm of the day may arrive before the line is even visible. Those supercells isolated, slowly rotating in clear air are where the strong tornadoes come from. The line itself produces wind. The supercells ahead of it produce EF3 tornadoes. That distinction needs to be on every viewer's screen today, mark my words. Left out number 4, the heat partner. Storms are not the only crisis. They share today with a heat dome anchored over the eastern half of the country. Heat index of 100 degrees across Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana right now, climbing this afternoon. Heads up, that is medical risk territory. Washington, D.C. 95 degrees, heat index 105. New York and Boston, low 90s with humidity that has not been there since last August. Raleigh, North Carolina, forecast 101 today, which means a 44-year-old June record falls this afternoon. 80 million people inside the major heat risk corridor, which means for anyone over 65 from D.C. to Boston Thursday evening and Friday morning, decide your week. The storms will be over by tomorrow. The heat will not. Good Lord, that is the part nobody is emphasizing. If you are anywhere from Iowa to Indiana right now, the next 6 hours decide whether the warning sirens find you ready. Left out number 5, the flood watch detail. 2 separate flood watches in effect right now across the Illinois-Iowa border region. Rainfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour expected wherever a training storm sets up. Training means multiple storms passing over the same neighborhood within an hour or two, which means soil in northern Illinois and Indiana already saturated from last week has 0 capacity left. Flash flooding does not need 8 inches of rain. When the ground is full, 3 inches is enough. Underpasses, low water crossings, creek beds, those are the danger geographies until Friday morning. Turnaround and do not drown applies to every flooded road from now through Friday dawn. Left out number 6, what tomorrow looks like for the East Coast. Friday, June 12th, slight risk, severe weather from New Hampshire down through Virginia. Damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour likely across New York, New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, which means for New York Metro commuters Friday afternoon between 2 and 6 is the window for highest disruption. Hail probable from Albany down through Philadelphia. Isolated tornado possible in the immediate New York Metro, low number, not 0. Flash flooding through the Appalachian Valleys 2 to 4 inches as the front squeezes moisture against terrain. Left out number 7, why this active pattern is not random. The Climate Prediction Center officially placed the United States under an El Nino advisory this month. El Nino temperatures in the Pacific are running over 1 degree Celsius above average right now, which means we are already in a moderate El Nino, and the forecast is for it to keep strengthening through winter. El Nino amplifies the Pacific jet stream. That amplified jet drives the active severe weather across the northern states, which means for anyone in the Midwest and Great Lakes, the active stretch is not done after this week. Forecasters have known for weeks this would be an active early summer. The atmosphere is delivering exactly that. This is not an anomaly. This is El Nino doing what El Nino does flat out. 12 to 18 months, that is how long forecasters expect this pattern to last. Absorb these numbers. 42 knots. 32 STP, 5,000 joules. 80 million people, 8 million in Chicago, 6 hours from now. Behind today's storms, behind tomorrow's eastern severe weather, the next chapter is genuinely unusual. A cold front pushes south from Canada starting Saturday, June 14th. By Sunday morning, dew points across the Midwest drop from the upper 70s to the low 50s. Chicago Sunday morning, 58 degrees, Detroit 62, Minneapolis 54. Honest to goodness, those numbers belong in October, not the third week of June. Highs across Illinois and Indiana hold in the 70s for 5 consecutive days. That is a bona fide cold front by June standards, the kind that does not come along every year. As the front sinks south Saturday, severe weather reorganizes across the central states. Kansas City, southeast Nebraska, northern Missouri, that is the new corridor for Saturday. Sunday, the threat shifts to the Red River Valley, Oklahoma, and northern Texas, which means for anyone in Oklahoma City, Tulsa, or Dallas, your severe weather watch starts Saturday morning. Heavy rainfall accompanies the front. Drought relief comes with the damage. Both can be true. Left out number 8, the drought nobody on the East Coast is talking about. Phoenix today, 108 degrees. Las Vegas, 106. Tucson, 105. Relative humidity across the desert Southwest holding in the 10 to 15% range. Fire weather conditions critical across Arizona, New Mexico, southern Utah, and southern Nevada through Saturday, which means for anyone in Phoenix or Las Vegas, outdoor activity between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. is medical risk territory. No major front coming to break the southwest heat. The ridge holds through next week. Left out number 9, how the cap breaking changes everything in 90 minutes. A capping inversion is a layer of warm air aloft that suppresses thunderstorm development at the surface. This morning, a strong cap held storms back. By noon, the cap erodes from surface heating, which means days like today can go from quiet to chaotic in a single hour without any visible warning. Forecasters watch the cap obsessively because the exact minute it breaks determines who gets hit first. Today, the cap erodes between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. across central Illinois. That is the trigger window. Heads up if you're in Peoria, Bloomington, or Champaign. That hour matters more than any other today. Left out number 10, why this morning's storms make this afternoon more dangerous, not less. Most viewers see early morning thunderstorms and assume the worst has passed, which means most viewers are wrong today. It is the opposite. The morning complex lays down an outflow boundary, which means it acts like a runway for afternoon supercells, which means supercells firing along that outflow boundary at 2 p.m. today have access to ingredients the morning storms did not. That is no two ways about it. The reason today's threat ramps up after lunch, not before. Left out number 11, the instability number behind today's setup. Mixed layer convective available potential energy across central Illinois this afternoon, 4,000 to 5,000 joules per kilogram. For comparison, an average summer thunderstorm fires on 1,000 to 1,500 joules, which means today carries triple to quintuple the standard ammunition, which means today's air mass carries 3 to 5 times the energy of a typical summer storm waiting to be released. Combined with 42 knots of jet streak and STP of 32, the math is unambiguous. That is outbreak language, not warning language. Folks, this is what high-end June atmospheric setups actually look like on paper. Left out number 12, how Lake Michigan changes the Chicago threat tonight. Cool lake air pushes inland during the day, creating a temperature gradient near the shoreline. That gradient sharpens the warm front and concentrates the strongest rotation right where 9 million people live. which means Chicago's tornado risk this afternoon is not despite Lake Michigan, it is partly because of it. Lake breezes increase low-level shear locally by 10 to 15 knots near the shoreline. That increase is enough to push borderline supercells into tornado-producing territory. Left out number 13, the drought relief story buried inside the damage. Iowa, Missouri, and northern Illinois soil moisture was running below average through May. Today's 2 to 4 inches of rainfall destructive on the surface is exactly what the Corn Belt needs underground. Which means the same storms damaging homes are restoring something most viewers cannot see: soil moisture for July yields. Both can be true: a tornado warning afternoon, a corn farmer's relief evening. Honest to goodness, that paradox is the most American part of severe weather coverage. If you live in any city mentioned in the past 15 minutes, confirm your shelter plan before the lunch hour. Left out number 14, how fast the Storm Prediction Center upgraded today's outlook. The SPC moved this morning's outlook to moderate risk only after sunrise. Most upgrades happen 24 hours in advance. Today's upgrade reflects how quickly forecaster confidence climbed once models matched real-time radar. That speed is rare in this business, which means when the SPC moves their needle this fast, the atmosphere has already told them everything they need. That speed of confidence shift is the strongest argument for taking this afternoon at face value. No joke. In the East Pacific, Tropical Storm Christina is moving along southern Mexico right now. Its moisture pushes into the Bay of Campeche by Friday, a 10% chance of Gulf development next week, which means southern Texas, Brownsville, McAllen, Corpus Christi, heavy rain possible regardless of development. El Nino keeps the East Pacific season busy. The Atlantic stays comparatively quiet for now. 2 named storms already off Mexico, a 4th and possibly 5th coming by Father's Day weekend. So the storm track stays active through Father's Day weekend and into next week, just shifted south. Saturday, Kansas City corridor. Sunday, Oklahoma and northern Texas. Below normal temperatures across the eastern 2/3 of the country lock in next week. Illinois highs in the 70s, Texas in the 80s, a bona fide cool down by June standards, plain and simple. 42, 32, 15%, 60%, 80 million. 8 million. 6 hours. If you live in any of the cities mentioned, 3 things matter most this afternoon. Phone charged. Shelter location known. Someone you love over 65 knows about the heat. 3 things 2 hours, 6 hours from now. The worst of this is in progress. Every forecast you watched today told you the storm is coming. Now you have the parts they did not say. Use them